It's funny. I can be reminded sometimes of things just by some of the simplest things. Case in point, earlier today, I got an email, and the headline said, your post has over 500 views. And I'm like, what post did I make that had over 500 views? Well, what happened was I had a situation, and in that particular situation, it was a negative situation. And what I decided to do was complain, write up a complaint. Um, I think I did it on Yelp. I can't remember. Um, but it was about my experience at a particular hotel. So let me talk about this. I got a story to tell. All right, so check it. I want to say it was last fall, right? September. Um, I'm in South Carolina, came in town, Charleston to be exact, Charleston, South Carolina. Came down for a wedding, right? So my wife had already gotten there. I took a flight in, drove to Charleston. And so I'm driving from Atlanta. I think I think I was in Houston. Yeah, I was in Houston, left Houston, flew into Atlanta, scooped up the kids. We drove to Charleston. My wife was already there. And we were going because my wife's cousin was getting married. So, festive event, everything. I think was it Labor Day weekend? I think it was like Labor Day weekend, right? So, um, looking forward to it or whatever. My wife booked a hotel. We were coming down. No, what happened was we drove to Florence, my hometown. And Florence is about, excuse me, about 2 hours away from Charleston. So we spent Friday night in Florence, my mom's house, got up the next morning. We were going to drive to Charleston and then spend the night after the wedding in the hotel in Charleston. And so, everything's cool or whatever. Drive to Florence was cool. Got a chance to see my mom, my dad, my nieces, and everybody. So we decided to go ahead the next morning, and we're going to Charleston. Whatever, got my clothes and everything ready for the. I was gonna say funeral, my bad, for the wedding, not the funeral. So everything's cool, everything's love. Get down there, and I distinctly remember my wife, Cherie, saying, she said, "Well, hey, do you want to go over and check into?" Because she was already at another hotel, at the host hotel where the wedding was, and I think it was at the Marriott. It was the Marriott, and so she was like, do you want to go ahead and check into the hotel, you know, or whatever, or do you want to just wait? And I was like, well, I can go now. She was like, well, no, I need you to do this, this. So she had me doing some running around. So I was like, all right, cool. I'll just check in later after the wedding. And bad move. Should have checked in, should have done the early check-in. That way any kinks or whatever like that could have been ironed out. Unbeknownst to me, something was brewing. So we go to the wedding. The wedding's dope. We have a good time. The kids had a good time. Sharice was in the wedding. She's a matron of honor. And so, everything's cool until it wasn't cool. All right. So after the wedding is over, we change clothes, get our stuff together, and we're heading to our hotel. We had booked a room for the night in the True Hotel. True Hotel. So I'd stayed in a True Hotel before. I'm not, and let me just say this: I'm not picky about hotels. I do like to be comfortable, right? So how can I say this? I'm willing to pay a little bit more, to be comfortable. So, something was going on in Charleston that particular weekend because like all of the rooms were booked up or everywhere. So because I remember talking to my wife about it when she booked the room. She was like, it took her a minute to kind of find this particular hotel because we were going to stay in the host hotel, but then That got booked up, and then we were going to stay in. It was just, a bunch of stuff. Anyway, we probably should have stayed in the host hotel in the Marriott, but I can kick it in the True. I'm cool I'm cool like that. So anyway, we leave there, we leave the wedding, we go to get something to eat, and then we came back and was like, all right, let's go check in. So, pull up and hop out car, go to check in, walk in. All right, 12 Kyle here to check in, for the evening. Room's already paid for. Here's my confirmation number, blah, 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 blah. So the lady looks at me, young lady. She couldn't have been, she probably about 24, 25. She looks at me and then she says, she looks down and she looks back at the computer and then she looks at, she's like, oh, uh-oh. I was like, what do you mean, uh-oh? And she was like, well, I see on here that you booked a double, which, yeah, I mean, it's going to be a double because it's, me and my wife and our 2 kids. And, it's a night. So the double beds are, it was, I think it was king size. Was it king size doubles? I can't remember if it was king size doubles, but anyway, the bed was big enough for us. I like a king size bed, but whatever. So it was supposed to be like a double bed. My wife and I was going to be in the bed. Skylar was going to have, our daughter Skylar was going to have her own bed, and then Brandon was going to be on the little pull-out couch or whatever. And that was the plan until it wasn't the plan. So the young lady says, the clerk says, she said, well, there was a computer issue and it looks like we changed your room to a king size bed. What you mean? King size bed. She's like, well, yeah, that's all that we have. And I was like, well, there is 4 of us. And I booked a double, king size double. And why is this? I said, I booked a double. Why can't we be in a double? She's like, well, something with our computer systems and, it got kicked out. So they ended up just switching you to a king. And I was like, well, I don't need a king. I need a double. Like right now. And she said, well, there are no other available doubles. And I was like, what do you mean? How do you mean? I said, so you mean to tell me that I booked a double and now you're telling me that there was some type of computer issue, and now you're telling me that the only thing that's available is a king size bed that me and my wife and 2 kids are supposed to fit into. And she was like, well, let me look. So she starts typing and she says, well, oh, I have a double and it's in a room, but the AC isn't working. Huh? Are you serious? I said, ma'am, do you really want me to sleep in a room in Charleston, South Carolina in September in a room that has no AC? Are you crazy? And it had to be every bit of about 80 degrees that day. So, it's going to be hot. I mean, I'm not, again, I like when I travel, I want to be comfortable. I want to be comfortable on the plane. I want to be comfortable in the hotel. I want to be comfortable in a rental car if I got one. So, and I'll pay whatever just to be comfortable. I don't want to be uncomfortable and I don't want to be inconvenienced. And so by this time, I am hot. Now, here's the funny thing. Of the 2 of us, between me and Sharice, I'm the calm one. So I was like, you know what? Let me go get my wife. So I walk off. And by the time, because I parked outside, right outside, so she could see. She saw my face when I stepped outside. So when she saw my face, she was like, "What's the matter?" And I was like, "They don't have a room." And she was like, "I know you joking." I was like, "Do I look like I'm joking?" So then she hops out. So we both go back inside. So we go inside and she's like, she's very apologetic and blah, 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 blah. And so I asked her, I said, "Well, are there any other rooms available anywhere else around here?" And she was like, "Well, no, there's something going on and most of the places around here are booked up." She was like, "You can try this place over in the east side." And I was like, "I'm not going on the east side because the east side is the hood." Um, and I didn't have to be from Charleston to know that. And I was just like, "Nah, I mean, like, how is this happening?" So she was like, "Well, what I can do is, I can refund you your money, and you can still get the king size bed room or whatever." And I'm like, okay, I'm thinking to myself, okay, well, at least, the king size would have a couch. So we could put Brandon on the couch. That's our son. And, the three of us can, get in the king size bed. We ain't going to be on top of each other because the king size is a nice size bed. And we're relatively small people. So it's like, it's okay. It's for one night. Um, So after some prodding and after, Sharice gave a few choice words, she ain't cussing out like that, but she let it be known like she was pissed. And so was like, all right, so let's do this. So we grab our stuff out the truck, go upstairs, go in the king size room, only to find that there's no couch in the king size room. Okay. So now the four of us are going to have to pour into this king size bed. Listen, I have not slept in a bed with my kids since like forever. Like you when kids are small and breastfeeding and stuff like that, that's different. And a word to the wise to new parents out there: don't let your kids sleep with you, because if you put them in your bed, it takes forever to get them out the bed. But we learned that lesson with our oldest son Dion. Cameron, we didn't have as much problem. Brandon and Skylar, no problems at all. But now I have to sleep in the bed with my kids, and we got room, but we ain't got a lot of room. And from the last time that I remember letting Skylar sleep with, Skylar sleeps wild. So like, I wasn't trying to take elbows and knees to the face. But I was just like done. So I was like, well, all right, you know what? We put our stuff down. It's like, let's go get something to eat. So we went, got some, I think we went to like Wendy's or something like that. Got food, came back. And again, still you're tired because I drove from Florence, which is a 2-hour drive, not long, but the wedding was all day. My wife was on the run and on the go getting makeup and all this stuff like that done. So you know the routine of being in a wedding. So it was just a lot. And like, we were thinking, okay, when we got to our hotel room, we could kind of just chill. You know what I'm saying? Like, just relax, let your hair down a little bit, if you will, and kind of chill. But now my face is scrunched up because I don't even have my own bed, right? So, and I just kept telling myself, you know what? It's only for a night. It's only for a night. It's only for a night. And then when we we got back to the hotel, we ate our food or whatever. Mysteriously, my wife gets a phone call, right? And so Sharice answers her phone. It's someone calling from the front desk of the hotel. And they call and they say, "Hey, Mrs. 12, we're calling to let you know that your room has been canceled. Your reservation has been canceled because we're out of rooms." And she was like, "What do you mean my room has been canceled?" And she was like, "Well, yeah, I'm just calling as a courtesy call." Now, this young lady who's making this phone call, she's different from the lady who checked us in. She's young too as well, right? So my wife hangs up the phone. She was like, "Let's go downstairs." Because I'm hearing half of the conversation. I'm hearing her half of the conversation. She's like, "Come on, let's go downstairs." So I'm like, "Oh, Lord." And she was just like, she was steaming. So at this point, I ran the point guard the first time. At this point, I can't be point guard anymore. I got to let her run the point. She got to, it's her. She about to back him down in the paint, turn around and dunk on him. And so we walk downstairs, just the two of us. We walk downstairs, we catch the elevator downstairs, and we go down there. And she's like, "Yes, you just called my phone." No, the lady was like, "How can I help you?" She was like, "Yeah, you just called my phone to tell me my reservation was canceled, but I'm in my room. So how's my reservation canceled?" And she was like, "Oh, it was a glitch in the system. We just wanted to make sure we're making phone calls or whatever like that." She was like, "Well," my wife was like, "Well, I want to make sure that you don't book the room that I'm in and have somebody else trying to check in while we're in our room asleep." And she was like, "No, no." She was very apologetic. And then the other young lady who checked us in came over and explained what happened to the other young lady. And it was just a bunch of confusion. And she was just like, like it was a nightmare. And the more that they talked, the worse they looked. And she was like, "We'll give you, this and this and that." And I was thinking to myself, you can give me whatever you want to give me. I'm never, ever, ever, ever. I don't care if it's the last hotel on earth. I'm never going to another True hotel. Never. And I would suggest to anyone that's listening, don't ever go to a True hotel. Ever. Because it's not worth it. While they're not remarkably expensive, it's not worth it. Right? And so after we kind of cleared that straight, Sharice and I turn and we go to walk out. And as we're walking, we hear a young, but not a young, middle-aged white lady and her husband come up. And I heard her say to the lady behind the desk, "Yes, I'm sharing in room 247. We don't have any hot water." Huh? Man, you know what? We just turned around, kept going, went to the room, took our showers, went to sleep, got up the next day. And to make matters worse, I got up the next day. We're getting ready to drive back to South Carolina. We're getting ready to drive back to Atlanta. I go to get some gas, go reach in my pocket, grab my wallet, and my debit card is gone. Credit card, debit card, whatever you want to call it. Debit card is gone. I don't know where it is. I start scrambling, looking throughout the truck. It's not in the truck. It's not in the room. I think I never got my card back at Wendy's. I don't know. So I had to call and cancel the card. And I had to wait on getting I had to wait like another 2 weeks to get a card. So that was like it was a great wedding, but it was like the trip from hell. True Hotel had nothing to do with me losing my card, but that was just like the icing on the cake. And so I said all that to say this, just to bring it back home. I wrote a review, like I said, it was either on Yelp or someplace, I can't remember, or maybe it may be on Google, I can't remember. And I communicated everything that I've just mentioned on this podcast in a long, detailed statement. And I got over 500 views and a bunch of thumbs up and a bunch of likes and a bunch of amens and all of that stuff. So word to the wise, don't trust the True Hotel. I don't know where True Hotel, I think they're a version of, they're off branch of Hilton, I think. I could be wrong. I don't know. I just Google it. I don't know. Actually, don't Google it because you don't need to go. You're better off staying in a, Motel 6. At least they leave the light on for you. True Hotel, they're not going to give you hot water, even though we did have hot water. Not going to give you hot water, and they might mess up your reservation. But hey, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it for me. Thank you for checking out another edition of the 12 Kyle podcast. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast. Remember, the podcast drops every Thursday at midnight. Episodes like this will drop on Sundays because they're bonus episodes. Again, that's going to do it for me. I am your boy 12 Kyle. I'll catch you guys next time. 5,000.